So I was doing the mowing for our upcoming seeding project, and I was going by the well with the lawnmower, and I saw that. And I'm like going, that's not normal. So I stopped the lawnmower and opened up the door. I opened up the door and then saw this. A big freaking cavern underneath our well building that extends on over and covers basically the entire underneath of our well house. Luckily, I did not put a traditional foundation system on this well house. Otherwise, it might have collapsed. The pressure tank is sitting precariously right now. And so we're like, this isn't good. So Andrea called the people that installed the well, and they said, is your well on a farm? And we said yes, or we should say former farm. And they said, well, this happens sometimes. We'll come out tomorrow and we'll fix it. So I'm like, okay. So short version is, I'm so glad that I put these tie downs like this onto the well, because now if they need to lift this well house up, all I got to do is just undo those nuts right there and take the wire off, and then they can be able to just pop the well house up, fix it, and then put the well house back down where it was, in theory at least. So when they come out tomorrow, I will videotape it. I was out here about a month ago, and there was no hole out here. So this has happened recently, and there's no water, so it's not like it sprung a leak or something. And we've had a decent amount of rain lately, but it hasn't been like complete monsoon levels. So it's evidently something to do with the with it being a farm field. I don't know why this dirt is different, but I guess it is. So when they come out tomorrow, I'll videotape that, and then we'll see where it goes from there. Okay, I got an update to the well situation. The well people came out earlier today, and so we were able to lift up the well house, as you can see right here. They were very appreciative of that we could be able to do that, so we just unhooked it and then it goes. One of the anchors was completely just hanging there, so it had completely eroded away, or the ground around it had eroded away. Here's a better look of what's going on down here, where that's how much it had been eroded out. We had some, I called it a gully washer, a monsoon, a week ago Saturday, where it just like unloaded for about an hour, and then about 3 hours later we had a severe thunderstorm come through, and it unloaded for about an hour. And what the well people were saying is that that's what caused the big sinkhole right here. The problem is nobody knows where the dirt went, and they don't know where the dirt went. We don't know where the dirt went, and so they're going to come back tomorrow and fix it, because they said they have to get concrete. So what they're going to do is they're probably going to bust up all of this concrete that's here. They're going to bring, we got dirt on another part of the property, so they'll probably just steal some of that dirt, pack it down, and then put a nice clean slab over it, especially where that pressure tank is, because as you can see, the pressure tank is just hanging out in the middle of nothing right now. So they said it's not typical that this happens, but it does happen sometimes. And it's typically on former farmland. So when they have, when they proceed to the next phase, then I'll update you. Now, the tank being out like this is fine. The tanks and everything are actually made to be outside like this. Just in the winter time, if it gets cold enough, it'll freeze, which obviously you don't want. That's why you have a building, and that's why we put our insulation blanket on. So it being out like this is fine. When we first got the property, before we built the well house, it was sitting out here for about, I don't know, about 3 weeks or so before we actually built it. So it should be good. And it's not supposed to rain for another few days, so that should be good also. So when I get something, I will let you know. Okay, it's been a couple of days since they fixed the area around the well house. I wanted to wait a couple of days because I wanted the concrete to cure a little bit. And I've been really busy and hadn't had time to come out and do a little video. But if you look in here, it's pretty much all concrete. So that entire hole they filled with concrete. They obviously had to take the pressure tank out, and so we were without water for about an hour, but that wasn't the worst thing in the world. But I think they said there was 31 bags of concrete that they put in there. So this entire area now is just filled with concrete. They also got a couple of paver stones and sunk into the concrete, so the pressure tank is actually sitting on paver stones now. It's not sitting on the concrete itself. This isn't structural concrete, it was just for fill. So it wasn't mixed the same like if you were doing a slab on a building or something, but it didn't need to be. They just needed it for volume. So one of my hinges was sacrificed during all this, but that's not the worst thing in the world. That's an easy fix. Then if you look around the outside, the hole pretty much covered pretty much the entire well house. So if we would have had another rain and had not seen this, it probably would have been so big it probably would have collapsed the well house into the ground some. The pressure tank would have been, and the pipes would have been damaged, and then we would have had a real problem on our hands. So at the end of the day, this was a fairly simple fix. It only took them about an hour or so. So we will monitor the situation. Now, what they said, before I get out of here, what they said was, because we have sandy soil and this was farmland, that there's no clay down about 2 or 3 feet. It can have the tendency, if you puncture through the ground, you can have the tendency to basically create sinkholes. And because what will happen is, if it rains, the water gets down to a certain level and then creates like little streams or something down there, and it can suck the sand in. So they said that's what happened here. And any place that we actually punctured the ground to any significant, it can do the same thing. So we'll have to monitor the 2 septic tank locations, the drain field, and all my nice posts that I put out there. The wood posts, I don't think the T-posts would cause it. And I did notice, if you look back where the pallets are, let me zoom in, there we go. The far post in the corner, there was a little bit of erosion there. Originally I thought it was just like a mouse or something creating a hole, but they said that could have been the erosion, so I plugged that hole up. So we'll see how that is. Now, conversely, both of the two houses here, the foundation is completely above ground. That if you see these plastic pieces here, which on the list, on the master list, is to put, you know, landscaping around here to make it look decent, but we just hadn't gotten to it yet. But this plastic here, when the house came in, they brought it in, they put this plastic down, and then they put foundation pavers on top of the plastic. And so that created a little bit of a situation where the sand is very good in compression, which means going straight down. So by doing that, it's creating a good flat-ish foundation situation. Not a whole lot of areas in the country could probably do that, but in the soil around here we can. And so there's actually concrete piers about every 8 feet on center where the beams are, and then the same thing over here. So the point I'm getting at is that we did not have a traditional foundation dug into the ground. Everything is on the surface. And conversely, the stairs are all on the surface too. They're not dug into the ground. So hopefully we shouldn't have that situation. So I think I'm done rambling about that. So I'll monitor the well house, but I think it's good for now.